Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast for the week of April 15th, 2020. I am your host, TJ Hafer, and with me is our amazing panel, including Rose.
Hello.
Including Lamberts.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
What's up?
And we're kind of hitting a point in the year with just where expansions are falling and where the different teams are at, where things are a little bit slower in terms of, Paradox news. We're not getting like 5 huge dev diaries every week. So we'll probably be mixing in a little bit more of certain other, grand strategy type games we've been playing. It'll be good practice for summer when Sweden shuts down for like 2.5 months. And there won't be a lot of Paradox. Yeah.
Are only grand in our mind. They're strategy, but they're more mainstream strategy.
Yeah, I think you can make the argument that like Civ or like, Mountain Blade, they're at least grand strategy adjacent,
Yes.
Yeah.
So
There's a lot of overlap between players.
Right. Yeah. If it's a game that a lot of people in the Paradox community are excited about, we will probably bring it up at some point. Yeah. So starting off today, we got a very large Crusader Kings 3 dev diary. This might be one of the longest ones so far, I think. That is kind of about how they're making efforts to represent the medieval world in more ways that are more in line with our current understanding of like society and current scholarship versus memes and like classical media portrayals of what the Middle Ages were like, which I think is really cool.
And then one thing they also confirm in here is that they're going to have rules when you're setting up your game so you can personalize your game more, which is something that's in CK2 now, but wasn't when it was released.
Right, yeah, I think...
Which should be in every Paradox game. That little start menu where you can like select for, the rules of the game. Fantastic.
Yes. Yeah,
especially, if you know they're going to turn off achievements or not, but you're just playing the game for the fun of it.
Yeah, exactly. Or having a multiplayer game,
It would be quite interesting to see which one of these rules, if any, would actually break achievements.
Yeah, the ones they introduced today, I'm not sure if they would break it. They would be achievement breaking or not. But yeah, I
imagine equality would probably break achievements.
Yeah,
that seems a little
so.
The way it is in CK2 is equality only breaks a couple of the achievements that like the impressive, I think, which is the one where you have to rule as a female empress 3 times in a row, I think.
Right, yeah, because that's not that hard to do if
you've already put equality in. Yes.
Yeah, women inherit on the same terms or on better terms than men do, yeah.
And there's like an old history option in CK3 now, right, where you can have it so it's like a matriarchy and that'll be extremely easy.
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they'll have to create a new achievement where you play in a female-dominated realm and have to rule as a male ruler for 3 consecutive
yeah.
That is probably going to be one.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. That seems pretty interesting.
As far as game rules, I think the exact quote I got from Henrik Farias last time I interviewed him is that all of the relevant ones from CK2 would be carried over. So that's probably a lot of them.
The most common achievement will be get married.
Yeah.
As per usual. And it's only going to be about 15%.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
The real power move would be playing CK3, getting every achievement apart from Mountain.
Would that even be possible?
I don't think that would be possible.
See, that's
a challenge.
That's like a new level of like challenges. Like you have to start a new Steam account every time you mess up this achievement.
Yeah. Buy it again every time.
Exactly. It's like speed running for really like stupidly rich people who don't have anything better to do. Yeah.
Do you know what I think?
You could just have bastards or consorts, right? I mean, like
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, technically, you could actually legitimately play through the entire game that way.
Start with somebody that has a son, or I guess in this case, if you're doing female-dominated, start with the daughter, and get them married before you die and become them, so you don't get the achievement. You're already married.
Yeah.
Well, and it would be really easy to do, I think, with pagans because I think they can take concubines whether they're married or not, right? So.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. And Eastern religions too. Yeah.
What I find interesting here, and I've seen some people commenting on the forums, is the fact that it says, for male-dominated, women do not get claims on their parents' titles.
Yeah, so that was like going to be a nitpick of mine, actually, because there's lots of periods in history where people have tried to push for claims of daughters. Right. Like famously, Matilda, it was the anarchy in England when someone tried to push for claim of Matilda on the English throne, and it caused quite a lot of civil unrest and a sort of civil war going on. It was called the anarchy. It's a very interesting period in history, but that was the claimant of a daughter. So I'm not sure how I feel about that one.
And there's been cases where sons have inherited through their mother's claim.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Casey's pointing out that if you had absolute agnatic inheritance, like males only inheritance in CK2, I think it did stop them from getting claims, but agnatic cognatic, I think they would still get a weak claim. That's my recollection of how it worked. So
no, they would get a strong
right, but the claims have been a little bit watered down now. We learned a couple of dev diaries ago. There aren't that many different types of inheritance as there were in CK2.
Yeah, well, there's still male preference and female preference and equal and stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see how that plays out, because that would definitely be weird if daughters of a ruler could not, press like if you have two sisters and they have no other siblings, and it's male preference or agnatic cognatic succession, and the older daughter gets the throne and the younger daughter doesn't get a claim, that would be kind of weird. I think.
And now, what happens to the strategy of marrying the daughter of the Holy Roman Emperors and getting all of the empire through the daughter? Like, that's the standard strategy, and you can, I want to be able to do that.
The marriage and murder plan, Eminem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and then I think they said in here somewhere that women's claims can only, in a male-dominated society, can only be pressed against children, other women, or if the man's been declared incapable.
Yeah.
So women have claims somehow, but this says they don't. So I'm wondering if there's just wording that's wrong here.
Yeah, or if we're interpreting it wrong, because I don't know.
Women only get claims on their parents.
Because that sounds like
if a brother dies, maybe siblings work.
Yeah, that sounds like basically how it worked in CK2 with weak claims, where they could only be, pressed against a female ruler, or a bastard, or a regency. Yeah, exactly. So
it might be that weak claims are called something else, because claims here is a tooltip within a tooltip kind of thing.
That's
maybe
possible.
Weak claims are called something else. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm just spitballing there, though.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get an answer from one of the devs. But
a future dev diary, hopefully.
Right. Exactly.
Because claims are sort of the bedrock. There we go. The bedrock of expanding in this game.
Right. Yeah. Particularly,
especially through marriage.
Yeah, feudal. We also got a little bit more info on the spouse counselor job, which I think they talked about a little bit way back when they did the job on council positions.
Yeah.
We have our beautiful Fiona here.
Yes, I think she's become kind of a meme in the last couple days.
Before we move on from that, can I point out that her clothes no longer look like she's wearing a bin bag?
Yeah.
Yep.
They have toned down the satin shine so much that it actually looks good now.
Yeah, it does look really good.
Yeah, and it says,
so I'm very much appreciative of that.
It says she's a queen, so she is a high-ranking character, so it's not just that she's wearing, peasant clothes or something. But
yeah.
You can tell there's impressive embroidery there at the neckline and then the cuffs of her outer dress.
Yeah. I'm a fan of this whole ensemble. It's very
good. I just noticed this from Shrek. Somebody pointed out in chat. I didn't realize it until now.
Yeah.
To call me an idiot, but man.
Yeah, that's what everybody on the forums has been calling her. But yeah, they show she can raise a regiment for you. Presumably, if you're a female ruler, your husband can do the same thing. I'm not sure if that's going to take the form of like you just get an infusion of manpower, or if it's like a special men-at-arms regiment or something that would allow you to go over your normal cap. I'd be interested to see what those options actually do.
When I was reading this for the first time, I got halfway through, up to the end of orders a group of soldiers in line, and I was convinced that the next line would be something to do with, you are no longer king, I rule here. I thought it was going to be something about deposing
She's
you.
just going to get you out the window.
That would be amazing.
I mean, that's kind of what Catherine the Great did, right? I mean, if your husband's that incompetent, sometimes you just got to take matters into your own hands. So, yeah.
Well, you know what? She's becoming so iconic just over the past, 24, 36 hours? They honestly ought to, if we were still doing box covers, they honestly ought to slap her on the box cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she'd make a great mascot for
Yeah.
We had Ivanhoe for Crusader Kings 2. Crusader Kings 3, maybe we'll have Queen Gwen Leon. Is that
she's
is she
Fiona.
Welsh? Well, yeah.
There's two L's in there. Loris, would you like to comment?
I don't know. My family haven't spoken Welsh in like 4 generations now.
I think
Queen Leon, I guess. Double L is a noise.
Yeah, Gwen is Welsh as far as I know. So
yes.
Like Gwendolyn is definitely a Welsh name, but
well, of course, there's 2 L's in there.
Yeah.
Gwendolyn.
So double L is a
beautiful clothing.
Noise, like static.
Yeah. We got
yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, the clothing in this is absolutely incredible.
And the background.
Yeah,
although Ulrica Fernandez is still possessed.
Yes. The reason that there's like a shadowy figure behind her that says spouse is because she killed him and that's his ghost.
She is judging you.
Exactly. I mean, it looks like the clothing just gets prettier and prettier every dev diary, pretty much.
Absolutely. And not only the clothing, but the backgrounds too. Oh my goodness. The Persian backgrounds in that one. Bottom right. Stunning. And I think that's like some sort of Nordic clan hall thing, which is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
The Russian.
Yeah, Chernigov. So yeah, she's probably unreformed.
Russian, is he?
Well, yeah, she's a Rura kid. So I mean, it might be. She might still. Oh no, she does Russian culture. So
she's Orthodox.
She's a later Rura kid, yeah. But
that's stunning. Absolutely stunning.
Really cool.
The color is gorgeous too.
Point out and complain about something here.
Sure.
The crests. They're no longer distinct. Like, for example, Matriarch Amira doesn't have the hexagonal crest that we saw in the Muslims in CK2.
Yeah.
That is a good
They're all
point.
the same.
I wonder if that's a placeholder thing.
I'm not sure if I like that. I hope it is
that's
changed.
a placeholder.
Yeah.
It still says under development, so fingers crossed.
Because it's also just very nice from a gameplay point of view. You can easily see a religion of something just by looking at the crest, right?
The other thing about Amira's crest is it's got that little tree next to it, and I'm wondering if that's the way that they're going to designate that it's a sub-house of a dynasty, possibly. Because none of the other ones have that, and all of the other 3 are ones that we know are major, European / Indian houses. So, yeah, that might be the little signifier that they're a sub branch or something like that. So
cadet branch.
Yeah.
Also, I love how easy it is to see the age. Someone next to their name.
Well, and the little like description, like that's gonna help me out so much. Just like remembering, this is so and so. She's a gracious zealot. Like that's gonna be such a good shorthand for just remembering. Yeah. What should I expect from this person without having to hover over all of their traits and figure out
an insane adventurer.
What I don't like is by the looks of it, your player character doesn't have one because on the top right it says "This is you," and I want to have my own character labeled something.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Or at least if you could hover over anyway. This is you and it tells you what.
Yeah. So Matriarch Amira is a murder hobo from Dungeons and Dragons, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Goes around solving all of her problems by stabbing people, most likely. She's got the prowess to back it up. So,
as someone in chat, I'm going to interject real quick. Every person on the map is going to be playable at the beginning of the game. Every religion, every culture.
Yeah, they're not
except for theocracies and merchant republics.
And republics.
Yeah, they're not locking any characters behind religion anymore, only government type. So, yeah. We got this little event screen that shows us kind of what the steppe cultures are going to look like. They've got their own unique clothes.
Well, I hope they change for background, and I hope they change for posing of the child, because
this child is coming for you.
Yes, that's like that little girl in that meme with the burning house, where she's got like that smirk on her face, like she definitely did it. Yeah. But yeah, that looks like the default European castle background that we've seen since months ago, so it's probably a placeholder, I would think.
Yeah,
yes, considering how varied the artwork is up here for the backgrounds.
Yeah, they mentioned we don't have to scroll down, but I'm just going to skip ahead really quick to say they said there will be visual distinction between Western Europe, Northern pagans, which I assume is going to be, Vikings, Finns, maybe unreformed Slavic, the Middle East and North Africa. Byzantium will have its own graphical set. The steppe and sub-Saharan Africa and India are going to be the distinct graphical cultures. So
makes sense. Makes sense.
I imagine more will be added in time as well.
Yeah,
I can think of like a few big groups that are missing Turkish.
Yeah, I mean that's probably going to be DLC. Would be adding more graphical cultures, because if you
only have 2 confirmed start dates of 1066 and 867.
Right.
I really like that though, because one of the big problems with the development of CK2 is that when you have to update something, I've been told anyway, but you have to make sure it's compatible with all the other start dates later on down the line. Whereas say in like Victoria, you only had to focus on 1 and then 2 start dates when the expansion came out, and it was far easier to update. And same with EU4, it's very
EU4. Everyone plays 1444, or if they're going for the achievement, they do the independence of the USA war start.
Yeah,
and nothing else, and it's just
which is a really weird start date, because it's like 8 hours long. If you start from that point, it's like a March of the Eagles campaign, basically.
I mean, it would be good for a quick multiplayer. We're going to do this. It's going to be in one sitting. Apart from the fact that it's buggy as all hell and hasn't been updated because just nobody cares about it. Nobody plays it. So.
I mean, I could see if they've really built like a strong foundation for it and really know how they want to make it feel different, I could see them doing the Charlemagne start again and actually getting, tribal societies right and stuff like that.
And the Great Schism and stuff. I mean,
with
that time period, it's Charlemagne pretty much invented the feudal system, pretty much.
Yeah, well,
they're not quite literally, but
exactly. We've got
really the birth point of it.
Yeah, well, and we've got clan societies now, which could represent a lot of pre-feudal societies that didn't really fit as tribes in the 769 start. Like I could see 769, most European rulers will start with clan government or something like that. Also, you bring up the Great Schism. We're supposedly getting a dev diary about this soon, but the fact that we have, the idea that religions can see each other as, hostile versus evil.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how they could finally implement that. Yeah. You have this event option. You can try to reconcile, or the Orthodox and the Catholic Church now view each other as evil for 50 years or something like that.
Yeah, crusades.
You could role play as Venice destroying Constantinople early.
Yes.
Yeah.
Filth.
I mean, the destruction of the Fourth Crusade is already in CK2, so
Yes, one of my favorite expansions, I think, all those Crusade mechanics.
Oh, yeah.
That's a dev diary I'm really looking forward to, Crusade mechanics, for sure.
Yeah, and I think they've said it's going to work similar to the Holy Fury Crusades, so...
That Crusade,
that worked great.
that Fourth Crusade spawned. I was doing one of the CK2 challenges where you're playing in the Byzantine Empire, one of the early ones they did. And everything's going fine. I'm like, okay, I think we'll get it. We've gotten all these other goals. I think we'll get this last goal by the end of this generation, the next generation. Boom! Fourth Crusade, the Empire is fragmented. Oh, God. It was a...
Yeah.
I love playing as like a Byzantine when it collapses too. You're playing as like some sort of Duke.
Yeah, and you have to decide if you want to go Catholic or if you want to try to restore the proper empire.
You've got to restore it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's only one way.
Right.
Empire of Nicaea every time.
Yeah.
All right. So the next big heading in this dev diary is the changes they're making to how sexuality is going to be handled in CK3, which we've heard a little bit about it so far. I don't think a lot of this is really new information if you've been following everything that they've talked about.
I don't think so.
Yeah, basically sexuality is a separate thing on your character. It's not like a trait that goes down with your other traits.
I would see it sort of as a separate stat almost.
Right. Yeah. So there's going to be heterosexual, bisexual, homosexual, and asexual. And I like it a lot better that they do it that way because as some people in the forums have pointed out, it doesn't assume that heterosexual is default and then you might end up with the gay trait. As
having it as a trait is a bit awkward, let's say.
Yes.
And I mean,
I think it was back engineered that way, I guess, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I can't even remember if it was a trait in the original Crusader Kings.
I don't remember if it was in one point. It definitely was when I picked it up, which was after Sword of Islam was already out.
Okay, so it definitely was in there when I played it.
Yeah. I don't know if it was in 1.0 or not.
No, like CK1, not CK2.
Oh, CK1.
Okay. Yeah, CK1.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah,
I only played about 60 hours or so in that, but I don't remember if it was a trait or not.
The history of the Middle Ages, there's kind of a lot of gay people, so it it makes a lot of sense to put a little bit more of a focus on that. So around the age of 10, they say your characters will develop a sexuality which will basically stay with them for their entire life.
That's a nitpick I want. I know it's not that feasible, but a bit more accurate would be if it fluctuates a bit, but
I think it should be 10 to 13 years old or something. It happens somewhere in that range.
Well, they say around the age of 10.
Okay,
I don't think it is going to be set. You become 10 and then just like when you became 16 in CK2, you just immediately grow up and I now know what I like. I think it is going to be a range.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I was 10, I was attracted to comic books, so that's I wasn't even thinking about guys or girls at all yet. So
I think I had my first crush at 11.
Yeah, that's true. You got those little kid crushes. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But the other big thing that they said is kind of significant is that just having a sexuality is not going to be something that members of your religion will look down upon. If your religion does look down upon that, you actually have to be caught, in the act, or someone has to discover your secret. The fact that you are gay is not going to be considered a crime by other characters. Because how would they actually know that? I mean, if you're playing multiplayer, presumably you could open someone's character sheet, but that's kind of what I would consider out of character knowledge. So,
and there's also the thing that your character can act against their sexuality.
Right.
Yeah, you should have a beard.
Being a homosexual is no longer a game over. you can have children and,
it was never a game over in CK2. I had an Estonian king who had like 12 kids with his wife and had a wonderful relationship with her.
Yeah.
It was, let's say, more difficult then.
It was
more likely.
You no longer get a fertility penalty for being in a heterosexual relationship if you're asexual or homosexual. You get a bonus, I think, if you are compatible.
Yeah, it's if you lover is a bonus,
and
you can't get that if you are
because they did tie
makes sense
romantic inclinations to sexual inclinations, which is not entirely true in real life, but
right. We talked about that in a previous episode. It's like, how deep are you? How deep can you expect them to go in terms of modeling human behavior, which is one of the most complicated things. Like
and
scientists have a hard time with it.
Human sexuality.
Exactly, yeah. So,
especially because it's such a sliding scale, and even there's things that don't even fit on that sliding scale.
Yeah.
And as for separating romance and sexuality in the game, wouldn't change too much. I mean, it would change things, but it wouldn't change too much in terms of solid gameplay.
I guess if you were going to do it, the really easy way, you could just have it that it's an opinion penalty, but it's not a fertility penalty. If it's romantic but not sexual attraction. But yeah, Lambert, what were you saying that this touched on?
Your point about how would they know about someone's sexuality? Therefore, they wouldn't have the opinion penalty for it.
Yeah,
that touches on my problem with this, and it's my only problem. I don't have the Twitter, Facebook bullshit problems.
You're not a fucking loony.
My problem with it is I don't think I should know everyone's sexuality in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Paradox Games have a little bit of an issue recently where they give you far too much information.
Yeah.
You can have it as if, how on your character screen you've got your culture, you've got your religion, you've got your sexuality. Have the sexuality with a question mark, because I'm worried that at this point homosexual characters are going to be hook farms, because you're going to see that this character is homosexual. They are more likely to then have acted on that than a heterosexual character. So you're going to be, if you are the intrigue-minded character, you're going to be, I'll look at this person to see if I can farm a hook on him. Yeah. And I'm worried that that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I think it should definitely be hidden by default.
I don't want homosexual characters to become hook farms. That's way more problematic to me.
That is very problematic, both from a gameplay and from a moral point of view.
Yeah. I think it would work a lot better if it was a hidden thing. Because
or at least have it hidden based on your religion, right?
Right.
You are.
Alfred's just said there, at that point, have all the traits and stats of characters be disguised? Yes. Yes. My opinion, yes. I do want that. I want that at least to be an option.
In my heart, I do want that, but then I think through what the gameplay implications of it would be, and I'm not sure if it would work.
And then also, if you're coming into the world and you're looking at a guy who's been ruling for 40 years, his traits are probably pretty open because everyone knows about it.
Well, and here's why. Because here when I've thought about, what if all traits in Crusader Kings were hidden? What if you just couldn't tell anything about a person except maybe they had their reputation, like those two little words underneath the portrait. Maybe that because that's what they're known for. I don't think it would work with the time scale of Crusader Kings 2 because the amount of micromanagement you would have to do in a very short amount of time to send out spies or invite people to feasts to learn more about them, that would be 80% of what you were doing. I think it could honestly work in a game like Bannerlord, because Bannerlord is a much slower paced game in terms of, how quickly it chews through the years. And you could take time to learn more about someone in a meaningful way and not have that occupy every moment of your time and then actually have time to act on it. In CK2, I feel like it might get annoying unless they made it maybe a passive thing, based on the skill of your Chancellor you had a chance to reveal a certain number of traits when you met someone or over time. I don't know.
Well, every character, regardless of if they are you or not, they're all getting events of their own.
Right.
So if one of these events is you are doing something that is in the public eye, the traits that are recognized from, that character's choices, they would become known on a country basis. So all of the people of that country now know that you are this or that. But the fact that I, playing in Scotland as a count in Scotland, can scroll the map over to India, find the random count of Ceylon, and say, oh, this character is ambitious, he's cruel, he's got these stats, and he's bisexual. I don't think I should know that.
Yeah.
I think that's crazy that I would know that information.
I mean, as like a general principle, I totally agree with you. Like, I would love to see more grand strategy games that are based on limited information. Like, if I'm playing in Scotland, like, I don't even know what's going on in Hungary. Like, it could have been taken over. Pannonia could have been taken over by the Magyars, and I didn't even hear about it. Like, that's just all fog of war over there. Like, I would totally play a game like that. I don't know if Crusader Kings specifically could handle that. I think you would need to build a game from the ground up.
Yeah, I also think it might be a bit too fiddly.
The thing with Crusader Kings is half the fun of the game is because it's unlike with EU4 where, what's happening on this side of the world matters to you. Unless you're really, really huge. You're in such a concentrated area, like you're playing in Ireland, you're only paying attention to Ireland, and then you decide, it's been about 100 years, let me zoom out and look at the world, and you're like, oh my god, when did Tibet end up in Egypt? What's going on here? Why are the Byzantines Catholic? What's going on?
What's more likely, why are the Abbasids in Tibet? That's normally what you see.
StatuTech has a good point there as well. There's levels of fame. There's a system for that in the game.
True.
Maybe low fame characters have more hidden stats, but famous characters don't.
True.
It could totally tie into that. And StarArchitect, I know you're a modder. Please make that for me.
Well, I mean, then you get into really interesting things like, what about people who want to present themselves falsely? Like, what about someone who goes way out of their way?
That's mechanics that could totally be added. That would be so interesting.
To like spread the word that they're very generous, but in secret they're actually like very miserly and money grubbing.
That would make the intrigue part of the game so much more interesting.
I don't know if you could make it work in Crusader Kings, but I would love to see somebody try. That's kind of where I stand on
I
it.
agree,
Wheels are already turning for StarArchitect. Yes, yes, I've done it.
So we talked a little bit at the very beginning about how there's a new game rule for sexuality distribution, so you can actually make like bisexual or asexual be the predominant sexuality in the world.
I missed that. That's pretty
cool. Which is going to be... I would be interested to see if you just put asexual as dominant, how that's going to change the politics of the Middle Ages, because, you're taking attraction completely out of the equation. It's purely about how we're going to keep the realm going, which is...
Close your eyes and think of England.
Exactly. Yeah. And if almost everybody is that way, I mean, that's how a lot of marriages were formed anyway, at least among the nobility.
Yeah.
So,
marriage was political for so long.
Yeah.
That it may as well make no difference if you've got asexuality or heterosexuality as the
well, it was only in, I want to say, like the 1800s or the 1900s even, that like Western culture started to accept letting young people just decide who they wanted to marry.
That was always the thing for the lower classes. Like if you didn't have anything anyway, then dowries are unimportant because there's fuck all to get.
Well, it's something else about the asexuality. I've been reading a lot of the comments, which on Facebook and Twitter, which have been overall positive about this.
Mixed.
Overall.
Yeah.
There have been some people that are truly just uninformed, and one of the biggest things I'm seeing is that, we already had asexuality in there. You could be celibate. Or you could be chaste.
It's very
it's
different.
Not the same, I guess.
It's not the same.
They were more religious, like, I'm a monk, so I'm not going to have sex.
There were a lot of there were a lot of thirsty monks that just chose not to.
Blood of Christ, not that kind of thirst.
And I just want to put in as an aside is that celibacy was, yes, 100% a choice. Being chaste was either a bit of a choice or your upbringing, or it could also be tied to asexuality. But asexuality is literally the fact that you don't find any other person on this planet attractive.
Yeah. At least
you don't look at that person and say, "Hey, I want to fall into bed with them." You just don't. You can still go out and have kids. You may still even actually have a sex drive. You just don't find specific people attractive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, definitely two different things.
That's just people are uninformed, I guess. That's all.
So I mean, this is the upshot of all of this to me as somebody who actually reads some like contemporary historical articles now and then and psychology is that this is going to make the game more realistic. People who are saying the opposite don't really know what they're talking about. This is a better model of human behavior than what we had in Crusader Kings 2.
That's the thing. I think we should highlight that it's a frightfully small minority of basically loony nutters that who don't think that. I mean, like who think that this is going to make it
in the Facebook group, which usually if you've never been in the CK Facebook group, it's
There's two now. I made my own.
Oh, well, it's quite often a place where I myself never feel comfortable commenting on a lot of things. Or posting, but as I said, the majority of the comments to this change with sexuality and how they're defining it in CK3 have been positive, even there.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. I'd be trying to like rationalize why people are, because they are just loopy people. Like, why? I could understand like if this game was making it so that like homosexual people were not persecuted by Catholics. It was something wildly ahistorical like that. I could maybe see a case, but it's not that, is it at all? It's everything that's happening in the game is completely historical. All of it is doing is making bisexual people exist. Which they did. So, like, why would you be angry about that? It's just nuts. It's
insane. I think Wiz's response here is probably the best dev response to anyone.
Wiz had a pretty sick burn there.
Yep. Might not just be happy that CK3 also properly represents you personally with the stupid trait.
Just the best. Just the best.
I like that like Paradox gives him the freedom to be like that on social media. So I know a lot of companies that wouldn't. So it's a more accurate model of human behavior. It's going to make the game more realistic. It's not a political thing. It's just this is how we understand human behavior now. It's better than we had understood 100 years ago, which is better than we did 200 years ago. Stuff that we learn using science often recontextualizes how we view the past, and that's not an ideological thing. It's just something that is part of our progress towards a deeper knowledge and understanding of the world. So
that's another thing too. Like even like 100 years ago, people knew like homosexual and bisexual people existed.
Yeah,
like that's not something like even a Victorian knew that. Like, but it takes like some sort of big brain person on Twitter to basically.
No, they were just friends that live together.
As I would like to point out here, and so I read this in a comment. I can't remember if it was Facebook or Twitter, but we have the two new game rules: so view on same-sex relations and sexual distribution. So they do have it that in the default settings, heterosexuality is the most common sexuality. You can make them equal, where all four sexualities are equal, or you can set either homosexuality, bisexuality, or asexuality as the main one. Well, someone pointed out if your computer has trouble with its CPU, set the default to be asexuality, there'll be less characters on the map and your computer will run better.
Performance optimization reasons. Yeah. That's pretty
That's
funny.
most Crusader King's way of optimizing. I think that's up there with the castration thing with the Greeks trying to castrate.
It is kind of dark in a weird way. Yes, it is. But as I know, someone who originally tried to play CK2 on my laptop and it wouldn't even run when I first got the game. And that was,
Yeah.
Any way to make a game run better, it could possibly work.
Right.
It could also be very interesting to watch all these families die out all over the place because people just aren't attracted to each other.
But what do you do if you're both horrifically bigoted and you've got a potato? What about those people?
Well, they just need to get over themselves or not play.
Well, I would have gone with get fucked, but yeah, that pretty much works too.
That works.
I don't think a lot of the people who are complaining actually play CK2 and stuff anyway.
No, I don't think so.
And a lot of these people that are complaining, I've seen them also complaining that they're never going to play CK3, that it's just going to be a reskin and it's not going to be worth anything until it has lots of DLC because they're going to lock everything. Which, from these dev diaries is...
I think that the people who actually play CK2 regularly are a lot like the guy who responded to that comment with, you could marry a horse in CK2. This is not, by any means weird by Crusader King standards at all.
No, exactly.
CK2 let me regrow my dong and you're complaining about bisexual people existing?
It actually had an achievement... a servant no more, where half the people that do that achievement join the Devil Society and regrow after having the snip.
Yeah. Anyway, any last thoughts you guys have on that specific part before we move on to the last part of this dev diary?
Yeah. One thing about I really like how different religions treats.
We're moving on to religion.
Oh, are we? Oh, okay.
We've still got the faiths update to talk about. Yeah, but go ahead and start us off.
Yeah. So I like it how this is a segue. I like it how sorry, I've lost my train of thought now. I like it how different religions you can basically either some religions view homosexuality as a sin, or some religions don't see it as a sin at all. I quite like that mechanic. How for example. Typically, I think in Norse religions, it wasn't as big a deal. Correct me if I'm wrong, TJ. I don't know.
There's not actually a lot of scholarship on that, on how the pre-Christian Norse thought about homosexuality. They weren't super duper accepting of it, we know, but they probably weren't as hardcore about it as today's fundamentalists, at least.
Historically, a lot of groups have always been more accepting of female homosexuality than male homosexuality.
Right. Well, and there was a lot of weird, the Greeks, it had a lot to do whether you were the one giving or taking. That was a very significant distinction for them, because whether you were seen as effeminate or not. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting different ways that it's been perceived throughout history.
I like the idea of a gay couple would leave a room and the Greek courtiers would be, so which one was top and which one was bottom? We were both tops.
Yeah, it's
both
not
tops.
Gay if you're the top. Obviously. The other cool thing about this is that they're not going to have one blanket African pagan religion, which was kind of silly. They're splitting it off into, I think they said 6 different ones.
Yes. Rug, Bori, Siguism, Akoam, Wakism, and Cushitism. I'm sure I pronounced all of them wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the Cushites are basically kind of between Egypt and Ethiopia. They were the Nubian, what used to be called Upper Egypt. So I'll be interested to see if they have any Egyptian pagan influences in there where you could restore the dominance of Ra or something like that.
That would be cool.
I can just imagine as Hellenics also in the game, we'll have bring CK3 back to Imperator times with Hellenic gods versus Egyptian gods.
Exactly.
It's great.
Yeah. We've got an ancestor worship tenet, which I hope the Norse religion has, because ancestor worship was actually a huge deal historically in Norse paganism. We know that the African pagans get it, but I'm worried that there's not going to be enough room on the tenets list to include all of the pagan tenets that would be historically.
Well, you just need to make a heresy, right? And you have
yeah. Hinduism has been split into 7 different faiths.
Yeah.
We've got the
There's a map of India, which is amazing.
Interesting.
I love it.
Shivists, Krishnites, a lot of these.
I'm very confident in saying that the Indian map is the best map in this specific dev diary, because the other one is fucking horrible.
That's just because it's your own personal country.
No, it's just awful. But it's India. India's good. No, don't look at it.
Yeah,
India's gorgeous.
There's a game rule where you can randomize the religion of every starting country.
And that's a game rule that will never be turned on for me. I hate it.
This is a wonderful thing too, because it's actually given us a little bit of insights on the different religions, including Shang-Qing, which is a subset of Taoism. So there's going to be a split in Taoism.
Yeah, multiple Taoist schools. That's going to be really cool. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The iconoclasts there. Karaites in South Wales represent some Jewish heretics in South Wales.
I did a really successful run as Wales once in CK2, and then I accidentally had my child tutored as Jewish, and they turned with a Jewish tutor, and they turned, and I was like, you know what? Let's just run with this.
Yeah.
By the end of the game, all of Europe was Jewish. It was beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
We can see,
but Israel wasn't, or something. Like, you couldn't get my Holy Land back. It's just
we can see up around basically the Edinburgh era. It looks like they have been taken over by lizard men. They've got the Mazda Mundi religion.
Yeah, Mazda Mundi.
Mazbudi, I assume, is probably an Islamic school, but I immediately think Mazda Mundi every time I see that. So,
well, what's interesting is also
really
how many of these.
To look at that picture, very little.
It's how many of these have the lines through them, which typically mean that the county is not the same religion as the ruler, at least in CK2.
Yeah, that is
not
interesting.
all of them, interestingly.
Yeah, because I think it's the
Changqing
Kingdom of
doesn't
England. Changqing looks like the Kingdom of... That's the official religion. Changqing.
Probably, yeah.
It's Taoist England, yeah, I think so.
And Najdot, is that possibly an Egyptian pagan religion? I'm not sure. Like, it's gray. It's not green like the other...
It's a subsect of the Kharijite movement.
Okay, so they are an Islamic sect. Okay.
Revolt against Umayyads.
Yeah, so...
I think it's so good that there's so many little heresies, historical heresies there.
Yeah.
But I certainly don't know half of them, which is brilliant, because I can't wait to get into this game and then click on it and then learn about it, and that's just really cool.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yep.
Can we scroll? Can we go to a different map now, please?
There you go.
Get back to that beautiful India map.
I mean, what I like about the India map is that they're not just blocks of the religion here, and then over here is this religion. So it's still a region, it's a unified region, just with different religions in different places. Like, when you have just a block of religion here and a block of religion over there that is completely separate, it feels like that's where your borders are. That's the natural extent of your borders, because getting into wrong religion territory just has its own problems.
Right.
You know what? You just have to be the smartest.
The smartest.
Oh, yeah, smartest.
Oh, and there's 3 different versions of Jainism now. Like, I'm so undereducated on Indian religion.
Yeah, I didn't know there was different types of Jainism.
Exactly. There's more than one Jainism. Yeah, but apparently so. Yeah, the Digambara, Svetambara, and
dualism religion with 7 different faiths.
Right, which that makes sense, because in CK2 they were trying to fit Manichaeanism and stuff into like
Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, Zoroastrianism. I think at one point it might have even been considered part of Christianity in like a very early patch. And it's like,
and now it currently has the shield symbols that the Muslim religions have.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm glad that they're making dualism its own thing, even though these are only like somewhat related religions or faiths. Yeah, I mean, putting them under the heading of dualism makes more sense than trying to fit them under, Zoroastrianism or something. So I'm assuming Zoroastrianism will still be a dualist religion, but yeah.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
Right.
And one thing they also have added here is that ethnicities and cultures, the new portrait system will actually blend children together from their parents genetically. So it's like The Sims.
Cool. Great.
That's really cool.
That'll be really, really cool. Like, I can take my Heistin of Nantes and, go conquer the Maghreb, and then slowly over time the ruling family will start to look like some kind of Norse Berber hybrid. That's going to be cool.
Yeah. Or even in the time periods of CK2, like, you have the conquests of the Turks, where you conquer Byzantium and, it wasn't sort of ethnic cleansing, it was sort of merging.
Yep.
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah,
can't wait to see the bugs. I'm sure there will be some glorious visual bugs from this at the beginning.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. It seems like they're just using the same DNA kind of system that Imperator has, which works really well in Imperator. You can definitely tell who's offspring of who.
Mm-hmm. I assume they were working on both in tandem, to be honest.
I think wasn't it Johan that said that he'd seen CK3's shaping up and he wanted to make a game around that, and that's how Imperator got born?
I think
I think it's literally using some of the same code maybe for it.
Yeah, don't quote me on this, but I believe what I heard at PDXCon was that the character DNA system from Imperator was already under development for CK3, and then they used a version of it for Imperator, but the final release version that is in CK3 is going to be more sophisticated than the version that's in Imperator.
And you can sort of see the relation between them. Like, look how the map feels compared to how the map of India and Imperator feels.
Yeah. They've brought on some people who really know their shit regarding Indian history, so that region has gotten a lot of detail in their last couple of games.
Alfrey in chat is confirming
religious-wise.
That they asked one of the devs if they were using the Imperator's portrait systems in CK3 at PDXCon, and he was told, no, Imperator is using CK3's portrait system.
Yes, that is actually exactly what I heard. But yeah, I think it's Trin Tragula is the one who's like the big Indian history nerd, I want to say. Yeah, someone on the dev team is like super into Indian history, and that's why India has been getting so much more fleshed out in CK3 and Imperator and EU4. Yeah.
Anything else things about getting fleshed out?
Yeah.
We have some beautiful new habitats coming in Stellaris.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if this is going to break my save in multiplayer because I'm playing as a Voidborn Empire right now.
Yes.
It probably will.
Yes. It probably
will. Probably have to play on the old patch for a while. So the habitats are going to have 3 different tiers now. I think the first one is going to be a little bit weaker than the current habitats. The middle one is about the same, and then you can build up to one that's even better. I can say from having played a significant amount of Voidborn in the current patch that it still kind of feels like a half-developed idea. So I'm glad that they're giving some more attention to it. Anything that stuck out to you guys here? Yeah.
I've done a full run as a habitat, as Voidborn, and you almost have to colonize a planet or two just to keep resources going because the habitats get so crushed or crowded with people.
Well, I haven't built a 4th habitat. You start with 3, and then I made a bunch of migration treaties and brought in aliens, and then I used them to just colonize planets like I would normally.
See, that's the boring way of doing it. I like to limit myself. Like, if I'm going Voidborn, I'm going Voidborn.
Yeah. I think I allowed myself like 2
multiplayer
planets.
Run. Oh, I don't allow any. In my current multiplayer run, we're doing the roleplay multiplayer. Mm-hmm. My species cannot set foot on a planet. They're like the Belters in The Expanse. We can no longer set foot on a planet. And I feel like getting someone else's pops just so I can colonize this planet over here is sort of like getting away from my roleplay. So I don't do it. And roleplay is everything in Stellaris.
They can still colonize Gaia worlds, which I happened to find like a very large Gaia world with natural beauty and some other really good modifier on it.
I gotta love Pristine Jewel.
Yeah, so... yeah, so I guess gravity doesn't apply on on Gaia worlds either. The gravity is whatever you want it to be. Yeah.
I love the lithoid habitat. It's so good.
They are so cool looking. They're just
reminds me of that final level in Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
What's it called? I forgot what it's called. Is it Zen?
Or Zen or the collector bases in Mass Effect 2. It kind of reminds me of that as well.
It's beautiful though. I really wish we had some biological.
Please give us a biological ship set. Please.
I
really want to buy
the Zerg in space.
Like
as well as making you build
something.
ships out of food. Make food your primary resource.
That would be amazing.
We don't have anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, lithoids eat minerals, so they're the inverse of that would be a species that builds things with food. Yeah. But then I don't know if you would have to because alloys now are such a big part of the balance of the game, if you would have to turn food into bioalloys or something like that.
I mean, all you need to do is say that instead of turning minerals into alloys, you turn food into alloys. That would still sort of work. Just change the art
special
and
buildings.
The name of the foundries. Yeah.
Totally I could see that.
Right.
Yeah.
This one,
Amadei's got a fantastic idea, making it out of pops rather than food, which would be amazing.
This one reminds me of Star Trek. Doesn't it feel very Star Trekky?
The ones are Star Trekky, right?
Yeah, I figured
especially
the humanoid,
the blue one.
The humanoid ship set, I think, they went out of their way to make it look like Star Trek. Yeah.
Yeah, if you scroll up, that one's Star Trek to me.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same ship set, it's just blue.
Yep.
It's if the Enterprise and Deep Space Nine had a baby, that's what it is.
I think most of the species I make use either the avian or the humanoid ship set. Those are the two I just find most visually pleasing.
Well, avian has the best juggernaut by nuns. Just don't at me about that.
I love this one.
I actually, that's my least favorite. The avian habitat's my least favorite.
It doesn't look very avian. If you had showed me that and said, what ship set is this from? I would have guessed.
Mollusk, I would have said.
Yeah, molluscoid or fungoid, maybe. It doesn't look particularly avian.
I suppose what they're going for is a bird sanctuary.
I get. Okay. Yeah.
You know what? This allows basic housing buildings to be built even for normal empires, because that's a real issue currently with habitats.
Yes.
You can't build more houses.
They just get They eventually just get so crowded that it's okay, you guys have to migrate somewhere else. There's literally nothing I can do.
And then if you have egalitarian on, you're straight up fucked.
Yeah, exactly.
You pretty much have to do utopian abundance, right? So we actually do something at least.
The utopian abundance, at least if they're jobless, but when they're homeless, you just have problems.
Yeah.
I'm playing a Voidborn now in a multiplayer game I'm playing, and basically all I've been doing is just making sure they've got so much luxuries that they could be homeless, but man, they are loving life. They're just going to have a shop, being homeless of a shop. But they love it. They love it. Nice. Enough amenities for it. So it's just I mean, I guess if you have all of your amenities fulfilled and you have utopian abundance on, you could just take a nap wherever. But, exactly.
Anything else about the Stellaris Dev Diary? Anything that stuck out to you guys about this one?
But they did release a new patch that went live today.
They did, yes. So I haven't had a time to read completely over the changelog so far.
The Rubicator Shard Dragon will now wait 2 years before killing everyone on the planet.
That's nice of him, you know. Yeah,
it's not. That was so good that it just immediately just burned everyone alive. It's like, I suppose now that you know the first time you see it, then you're like, oh damn, I just lost a bunch of pops. But I kind of like that, and now it's like you've got time.
I like that Juggernauts will automatically repair themselves. Considering this is a ship that builds other ships, you would imagine it would probably be capable of fixing itself. Let's just take apart some Titans and shove them into those big gaps in the hull. There we go.
They've added no virtue crisis strength now as well, which is nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's... good luck with that.
Roboticists now have 2 ally upkeep instead of minerals.
Oh. That's painful.
That is painful,
yeah.
The Flesh's weak assembly bonus reduced it from 33 to 10%. So
okay, so we're definitely playing on the old patch for the rest of this multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
because I already committed to cybernetics. So yeah.
That is rough, actually, isn't it? That is very rough.
That's a pretty big decrease. Yeah, I mean the Flesh's weak was already really strong, but So.
Well, the flesh wasn't strong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
it's
trade leagues now get the wealth creation trade policy. That's really good. I don't know why that was not the case before.
An interface for unassigning envoys has now been added. Because before you could only assign them, and then you just have to reassign them somewhere else.
I mean, I don't know why you would want to just unassign. Just chuck them on the Senate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, it might be early on when you only have one envoy and you've been making someone really like you, and now you want to stop making them like you, but you haven't met anyone else yet.
Right.
I kind of really want those out of sync fixes, though, so I might request that our multiplayer get updated, because there's a lot of out of sync issues, especially with quick joins. It's just awful right now.
Just irrelevant.
We need a lobby in Stellaris, guys. Can we get a lobby? The game's only like what?
Yes.
Yeah. How
6
is there not
years
a lobby?
old?
Awful.
5 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy to be voted to have a lobby.
When did Stellaris come out again?
Long enough ago that they should have had a goddamn lobby.
Yeah, it's about 4 years old.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it came out May 9th, 2016, so we're almost at its 4-year anniversary.
Right.
Can we get a lobby for the 4-year anniversary, please?
Please.
That'd be amazing.
I'd buy a lobby DLC. I would buy a DLC as just a lobby, you know?
That would raise a lot of...
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I was just how desperate I am for a lobby.
Unpopular. Yeah.
£50 for a lobby. Come on, I'll do it.
Here we go. The AI will no longer support resolutions it is in breach of. Oh yes, I'm going to support this resolution that's going to hurt me.
that makes sense. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, I guess if you're a masochist, I don't know.
You just love sanctions.
Give me your sanctions. It feeds me.
That would be quite a good civ, a good roleplay civ to play, right?
As True Master is pointing out
as you can.
In chat, Lambert, unassigning envoys, when you're improving relations, they can cost influence. So, you get that guy to where you like him to be, and then you unassign him.
Right, but then to unassign him, you just chuck him back on the Senate.
But what if the Senate hasn't been formed yet?
I guess. But that's a very, very minor amount of time.
But early on, you need that...
It's not that long till the Senate.
Yeah, but it's also when influence is most valuable, I guess.
Yeah, influence is the most...
Yeah, I suppose.
An issue.
I should say council, not Senate, but I mean, let's be fair, they're the same thing.
Yeah.
Hey, fix the typo!
Oh, well, it's now a playable game now, isn't it?
No, it's unplayable for me. I only play games with typos. It allows me to have my dyslexic representation.
Oh, job priorities for pops are recalculated when a planet changes controllers. There's a whole bunch of bug fixes here.
Yeah.
Oh, including the Juggernaut technology now requires battleships instead of Titans. Because not everyone has the Titans DLC.
Infinite Favors bug has been fixed as well that Spiffing Brit showed off.
Has it? What did they do? What did they do to favors?
Oh, no. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different one. Players cannot use more than 10 favors per country per resolution.
Oh, so they finally...
Spiff did a different
one. Because it was so broken in multiplayer too. Favors.
Yeah, no, I've been unilaterally controlling the galaxy that way. Yeah.
Well,
oh, man.
I've been doing it through corporate embassies, which got patched out anyway.
Oh, yeah. Is that that's the one that gives you more diplomatic weight for your branch offices?
For economy, you get 10 per branch office, essentially, and I've got like 34, so I got quite a lot of...
That was fun. That was fun while it lasted. So
Mega Shipyard now has the correct influence cost.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that was a bug? Fixed a bug where envoys could be elected as country leaders.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was just a feature.
Yeah, that seemed fine to me.
Well, because
it's your major diplomat that's been doing so much great work in the Senate finally becoming your ruler. I saw no problem with that. That doesn't sound like a bug.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it sounds fine to me.
Do you know what it was?
If it dropped you an envoy and never gave it back, maybe.
Well, I think it was a year ago or so. I was playing Stellaris. I think it was about a year ago when the was it not Lithoids, before Lithoids came out. We had Ancient Relics. There we go. When Ancient Relics came out, and I lost my scientist, became my ruler, and I got no scientist it back, so I had to buy it again. And I had Moa in chat at the time. I was like, Moa, why don't I get my ruler back as a scientist? Or why don't I get him back as a governor or something? Why does he just disappear into the ether? He's like, I don't know. Let me go look at that. And now you get your rulers back. If you're working as a democracy. Yeah.
So they don't just take them out back and shoot them after their term of office is up.
That's the best kind of democracy. Really, you've done your term and now get in the pit.
That's unrealistic, that is,
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, if it was...
You put them down of mice and men style, you know?
Yeah.
They should Look at the rabbits, Mr. President.
Well, that's great to reduce corruption.
They should just become like a pool of public speakers that you can, spend influence to like send them to give a seminar on your planet or something. Yeah. Increase unity, yeah.
Fix the
that's what most of our ex-presidents end up doing.
Where advanced empires would sometimes start with more districts than fits on their planet.
Yeah, they've just got district tech that we can't get. It's fine.
They just put some districts on top of other districts. It's basically like
or beneath if they're lithoids.
Yeah, exactly. So
they did a lot of big bug fixes and stuff. I feel like we've talked more about the patch than we did the dev diary.
Yeah, I mean there wasn't a lot to the dev diary. It was, but other than some pretty graphics.
Patch.
So.
It was some pretty graphics. We've also got some pretty interesting history of graphics going on here in the EU4 Dev Diary.
Yeah. So we get
segue, though.
A little bit more of a look at Imperial incidents and kind of how princes can actually support certain outcomes in the Imperial incidents. And based on what you pick, you might upset or please princes that agreed or disagreed with you on them, which I think is kind of cool. You'll have to decide between, going with the will of the empire or being the will of the empire, which I think is kind of cool because some of these it seemed like there was going to be one obvious choice most of the time. So
now I think it's going to be more interesting to not go with the previous obvious choice of just annex everything. Like, I want to actually play as a member of the Empire and have it stay as, an empire of multiple countries rather than, eventually I'm just going to conquer it all anyway. Like I said, when they did the Dev Diary on the Holy Roman Empire before, I kind of really want to play decentralized now.
Yeah, no, because I've done the centralization path before.
We did the poll on which path are people going to do at the HRE.
Yeah.
Out of 85 votes, 57.6% said centralize the HRE.
Right, which I've already done that. Is the like I've already restored the HRE. I'm kind of more interested in doing the decentralization path now.
I've done grayscale every time I've played in Germany. Like it's done. It's done. We've done it, and now it's time to play something different.
And I know it'll be more interesting now to do that than it was previously. But I really want to see how a late game decentralized HRE plays out.
What I really hope is that they don't run out of the incidents. I hope there's incidents going throughout the entirety of the game. If you, like, even, right to the end, like there's incidents throughout, and also sort of dynamic incidents would be really great. So you don't, it's this one. I already know which one I like on this option. Decline of the Hanseatic League, I know that eventually this is going to be the best for me, so I'm going to go with it. I hope there's, like, dynamic stuff as well.
That would be cool. Yeah, if it was a little bit different every time you played. The closest thing I could compare it to is the Japanese isolationism incidents, which I think they are pretty evenly spaced throughout the campaign, but it is basically the same ones every time you play.
Yeah. As soon as you have a favorite, then that's where you go.
Yeah, so the choices we get for the Hansa... we can either ignore their plight, which makes Lübeck and all of their league members mad at you. We can reinforce the league by getting free cities to join. So all free cities are automatically added to Lübeck's trade league.
It seems like they have an option rather than every single one just automatically joining.
Are promoted to join the Hanseatic League. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means exactly. Oh, each one that joins. So yeah, you're right. It sounds like they have a choice.
I think he's just misspelled prompted.
Prompted is probably what that should say, yeah.
Yeah.
So that gives you imperial authority, and then you can proclaim an embargo against the league's rivals, which would give you an opinion bonus with Lübeck and its league members. And then they have one for the Lutheran Calvinist schism, or the Protestant Reformed schism, as it's called in EU4, where you can actually make Reformed the dominant faith of the empire, which I don't think was possible before.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to see, especially because there's going to be an incident involving Switzerland, and if you bring Switzerland into the empire, and Switzerland does what Switzerland did historically, they will probably end up being a very powerful Reformed prince. So you can refuse to make a compromise. You can roll back to religious peace as if you had signed the basically white peace treaty in the religious war, or you can abdicate and make a reformed ruler of the emperor, which doesn't seem to make a lot of RP sense to me. But it's your empire. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it kind of makes more sense for having a Lutheran empire, having a reformed empire, I guess.
Yeah, they were a little bit more... they have the fervor mechanic. I think that plays well with kind of the theme of the HRE. So, yeah. And then, Peasants' War, they showed us they've done some updates to that as well. They've added...
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah. Peasant Revolt CB for peasant republics, where you can depose foreign governments and force them to become a peasant republic.
Like that's going to be a really fun campaign. It's everywhere must be peasant owned. Like I'm sure you're going to appreciate the hell out of that one.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be so
basically
fun.
It's basically Trotskyism, right?
Anarchy.
We're gonna
in a way.
Exactly. Yeah. The pirate republics also kind of have an anarchist flavor to them if you do the Buccaneers faction. So they're just adding more stuff to pander to me specifically into EU4, which I'm totally okay with. So
it makes that war a lot more interesting, though. I like how it's basically a new 100-year war mechanic.
The Peasants' War is going to feel like something that's like this big, momentous, singular event in the Empire, which is obviously very cool. And we got some more look at some new art. Loris as our art expert. How do you feel about?
So I think the dev diary goes on to how fun those icons were to make, and I could see that. Like, my goodness, they are gorgeous, aren't they? I love the unicorn.
They're so detailed. The thing is, they're going to be pretty small, but they're so detailed.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite's the maple.
Yeah.
One.
It's got a unicorn on it. Like,
it's got a unicorn, right? Yeah. It's got like a half mast on it. It's got like a, it's great. I love how the anchor ties onto the little.
Yeah, I think I gotta agree with that.
And that's their favorite as well.
Yeah, I mean, kind of see why. I mean, having a cannon on the military one, I mean, that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I like how the cannon's like poking
I think
out
that's
the
my
back.
favorite, though.
Yeah.
Nice little touch. Smiley face.
Yeah, the military one is pretty awesome.
See that?
Actually. Yeah.
We just need that as an icon.
Yeah.
yeah.
Programmer art.
That's the new emote.
Yeah.
We need that as an emote when we become affiliate.
Oh yeah.
There is a fantastic, like, the revolutionaries hats. I forget the name of it. Like French revolutionaries hats.
The Phrygian cap. Yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, I think on Grugi's stream, somebody made one of the art team made one that was like crying. It's
yes,
beautiful laughing.
I've seen that icon. Yeah.
Gigo, if you're still in chat, I think you've got it, don't you? You're a sub of Grugi's. Post it in chat for us if you're still here.
Very good.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting to hear kind of their thought process, though, of like how they have gone through different iterations of this interface and decided what they wanted to focus on and things like that. I mean, these games have so much information to present. It seems like they're always getting better at figuring out how to present it logically, especially when, I went back and played some Victoria 2 last week, and
there's our sad Liberty in chat, or Happy Liberty in chat, not the sad ones.
Yeah, like the Victoria 2 interface really has not held up. I forgot how badly.
Yeah, they've just gotten better and better over time.
Yeah,
although there are parts that could certainly be improved.
Right,
I think Imperator is very much improved by Agama Day's UI mod.
Yeah.
I need to check that out. I have not done much UI modding for Imperator, but
same here. Problem is because it changed to the checksum.
Right.
It's a problem for me.
And then, of course, we do have their wireframe here.
Yes,
I actually kind of love it. Like,
oh man, I can't.
I like
I'm not a fan.
The googly eyes on the Imperial Eagle are great.
I like the Twitter icon for adding a new print.
Yes, that's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna follow Bavaria now. So yeah.
Well, and then we have the one that, of course, here that still includes the Twitter icon.
Do we? Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
You get a like Imperial Authority depending on how many likes and retweets.
Nice.
And when this war kicks off, it's like for Catholic, retweet for Protestant.
Well, and what is this fist from? Is that from Civ? Like revolting cities?
I don't know. That might have just been an icon they had lying around. It does look kind of like the Civ revolt icon. You're right. Yeah, I have no idea where they got that from, but yeah, it's pretty.
Here
funny.
They are all fixed.
Yeah.
Though mostly, except for the Burgundian inheritance.
I want them to put the googly eyes back on the eagle. I want just a mod that puts googly eyes on everything. Like any place that there's like a face of a person or a binocular animal. Yeah.
All the event pictures. Yep.
Yeah. Just put googly eyes on everything. Yeah.
Best skull ever, that one.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, anything else about the CU4 diary before we move on?
We're going to have Grugi talking next week about a new feature coming in Emperor, as well as a very cool new feature for custom nations.
Interesting.
Which is surprisingly popular, actually. I never played with custom nations apart from when I was doing an achievement or something. But
I mean,
I think custom nations one of the more popular
I've done
ones.
a few. I made a Maori custom nation specifically because there are no Polynesian tags in Vanilla EU4, and I wanted to try to play a Polynesian empire. So yeah, I just made a Maori tag that starts on the North Island of New Zealand and tried to conquer the Pacific with them, which was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I also did one where I made a super technologically advanced country that just starts in the middle of Siberia. Like, I tried to figure out what is the furthest province away from any existing tag. I think it's like one of those little like Ivinki provinces up there.
Yeah, it must be.
And then I just gave them like I put it on unlimited points, and I just gave them a ridiculous bonus to tech and stuff. So I just had this. Yeah.
I didn't quite like the English ideas, so I created England.
Yeah.
Just called it something random and formed England like the first day.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, I'm England with better ideas now.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh,
Done
and
that a few times.
I tried to create a custom Vinland nation in the New World for like a surviving Viking colony. But I got so frustrated with the limitations of the custom nation stuff that I just made it a mod instead. So
yeah, I've seen a lot of people try and do that with the Vinland nation.
Yeah.
That was quite easy if you start with like the Russian Siberian frontier stuff.
I did a video about that, like an easy way of like becoming really big in America. Just new colony, one province, and now you've got the Siberian frontiers, and you can just blow up so quickly.
It's almost. I mean, I don't want to say even almost. It is unfair. Like how good
it's basically the what's the American word for it?
Manifest Destiny.
That's the one. Yeah, it's just basically Manifest Destiny. And I think probably they should have that idea. If you become, if you form the USA, they should have Siberian frontiers just called Manifest Destiny.
Or make it their finisher, like make it their ambition.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of ambitions, and how we're not going to see a lot from Hoi 4 for a while, there was a little tiny dev diary.
Yeah, basically, it was a dev diary to announce that there won't be dev diaries for a while. But they are working on the next expansion. So we got a very small beta patch. It's mostly just out of sync fixes and stuff.
And they are reminding us to all stay safe inside of our Panzers.
Yes.
Maintain social distancing with them.
No, I take my Panzer everywhere I go. I drive it to the grocery store, to the bank.
Although, like in World War II, the least social distancing you could possibly have was inside a tank. So probably not the best analogy there.
Well, it's just you in the tank.
As long as it's your household.
It's all modernized and updated, and you can control it with one person.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's like a computer game then.
No, so I have like the other crew members are on Zoom and they're just telling me what to do. Like I just have different screens set up. It's like, all right, how do I load the turret again? All right, can you walk me through this? All right, yeah, cool. Work from home.
The
Panzer
least
crew.
Effective tank in all of history.
Yeah. It's like the turret is just like spinning in circles and the Soviets are just looking down like, what is going on here? Hang on. Battle hasn't started yet. Yeah.
As long as the turret's like 2 meters, you can maintain a distance by like keeping the turret.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Pointing away,
Yeah. So
what I really like about this dev diary, I think it's a really good reflection on Paradox as a company, is that ordering foods for their employees, which I have to say is not something a lot of companies have been doing, to be honest. A lot of employees have been working from home, but sort of fending for themselves lunch-wise. But Paradox have been sending them things, and from local businesses too, which is great.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few of the Paradox employees showing off their care packages, which is really cool that they've been doing. Like not just food, like toilet roll they were sending as well, naturally.
Yeah. Hand sanitizer, the lot. It's like fair play to them. Good for mental health too, which is a huge problem at the moment, obviously.
Yeah.
Great. Fantastic.
We were just talking about how Loris and I were kind of talking about how we were losing our minds before the recording started.
I've been losing my mind ever since they closed the pub. Like, that's it. That's 50% of my life gone already.
This past week, I had a conversation with 2 of my neighbors through my window from the upstairs. So I was like, I heard them talking outside because one of them, they went out to take out the trash. And I was like, oh my God, real people that are not, through a computer screen, or my husband, which I love my husband, but he's the only person I've talked to in person, but that's not a doctor.
Yeah.
I live in a country where most people speak a different language, so literally nothing has changed for me.
Yeah.
See, I talk to my neighbours all the time, but now the problem is we got nothing to talk about. It's like, oh, what are you been up to? It's I've been sat indoors. Really? Same here. Yeah, I've been doing the same.
At least when you talk to people online, you can talk about like what they've been doing, like playing games. Like, oh, what have you been doing in Bannerlord?
Yes, yeah. I have to say, streaming is keeping my sanity. It's helping me keep my sanity right now.
No, it's fantastic.
That's good. Yeah.
And I really look forward to these podcasts every week, too.
Oh, yeah.
Same.
Well, it's weird because, like, I'm used to spending most of my time inside because I work from home 4 days a week anyway, like, even before this all started. But it's like when you don't have the option to go do something else, suddenly that changes the situation. Like,
because
we don't have lockdown here yet, so I'm not yet at the forced to.
Yeah, I mean, they're not enforcing it here. I'm just trying to follow the guidelines, so...
Well, I'm here in the New York City
else. It's like nature.
Metropolitan area.
Who cares about that?
Which is...
Yeah, I would definitely stay indoors if I were you.
I'm literally leaving once a week to go to the doctors. But my husband's still going to work 3 to 4 days a week. And he works at a hospital, so...
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I have a younger sister who's a nurse too, who lives about 30 minutes away from me, and I am definitely feeling for those people right now that have to get out there and
a big shout out
put themselves in that situation
all
every
of them.
day. Yeah.
And be kind. I've also heard of cases where someone is in their scrubs before they go to work, so they're entirely clean, and they stop by to get food or something to bring into work, and they've had people say terrible things to them.
Yeah.
I've heard of that in the US
and Australia. Just be kind and understanding to a lot of people too, because a lot of essential workers don't have uniforms. So if you just try not to judge people when, because they might be going to work doing delivery and stuff. Like I've seen a lot of really judgy behaviour, and it's not good.
Yeah. So
really
my sister's out on the North Sea on a boat.
Try not to be a part of the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Think, how would I like to be treated if I was in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
Just like at the start of the stream, rule 1, don't be a dick.
Yeah. I think that conversation happened before we actually started the podcast, but for those of you listening elsewhere later, that's kind of the upshot of it, is just don't be a dick. Yeah. We were going to talk some Bannerlord, but we're kind of running out of time here. Does everybody who's been playing want to just go really quickly through what's been happening in your campaign real quick?
The Falx is the best weapon ever. It's
I like
so
the long
good.
glaive, personally.
Oh, that's so good too. I started playing the multiplayer just recently. The Khazaits with that long glaive, oh my god, they're so broken overpowered. They win every game.
Well, if you get knocked off your horse, though, with the long glaive, and someone's coming at you with a one-handed weapon, it's a little...
Yeah. This might be controversial. I think I brought it up briefly in my review. I think Mountain Blade needs a stamina mechanic. I do not like how spammy one-on-one duels are. Like, when you'll just have someone coming at you, swing. Mm-hmm. I don't like that. Like, it doesn't feel tactical or interesting to me.
Well, and the thing is, they have the stamina mechanic for smithing, which, do you know what really annoys me about that one?
Is the entire fact that it has a stamina mechanic at all.
I can kind of understand having a stamina mechanic, but you can only do, like, 5 things with it. And then you're down to 0, and the only way to make it go back up is to actually sit somewhere and wait. It doesn't go back up. You could spend a week between going smithing again, and you go back to look, and your stamina is still at 7 out of 10 because you've just been running all over the map.
The one thing I think Mountain Blade has always struggled with as well, going back to the combat, spears are ridiculously underpowered when it comes to foot combat. Spears should be able to absolutely wreck the shit of someone with a sword. Reach is just irrelevant, and it shouldn't be.
Right.
Reach is important only when you're on a bloody horse.
Well, you should be able to crouch for spear so you can brace for a charge. But at the moment, you have to lunge for spear when really you should be able to brace it.
Well, basically,
like use the couch mechanic on foot. Like, that should be a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, in all melee, like all sword infantry, the AI just... is psychotic and has no sense of self-preservation. Like they'll just like run at you and swing their sword repeatedly suicidally until one of you is dead. Like like there should be a concept of spacing. If anybody plays fighting games, like there needs to be a concept of zoning. Like I'm not a huge fan of one-on-one combat in Mount & Blade, unfortunately. So
one thing they have added is they finally, that I'm happy about, is they finally added companions that are actually good at something other than fighting, tracking, or scouting. But they still actually have no attribute points in anything except for, what are the top 3? Strength, agility, whatever they are.
They've also changed it as well that if somebody is an engineer, they're probably going to be a really shit fighter. Like they will no longer have, this is just a standard character. He's got these pretty decent stats, like 40 or something in one-handed, two-handed bow riding. But also he's a really good engineer. So now if he's an engineer, he's not going to be good fighting. Well, if he's a good scout, he might be.
Yeah,
well, except he has no points down there in whatever it is, intelligence or whatever. So he's never going to level up there.
Huh.
Oh, if you look, focus points, right.
Yeah, like he's got an intelligence of 0, even though he's got 80 stewardship.
Yeah. I think fighting systems just needs a lot of work in general, right?
Yeah.
With the ridiculously impressive pace of these hot fixes and patches, I feel like that's something that is like, in a week's time that won't be an issue anymore.
Yeah.
Like what patch were we on last week? Like 1.0.6 or something?
They have added in an opt-in beta branch.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been
That's how speedy the development has been. I don't know where they've been the last 8 years.
That's the thing. Like, it seems like they've fixed way more bugs like since the game came out than they have in.
You know what it is?
The entire rest of the
office is really crap, and now everyone's working from home. The pace of development is just boom. Coronavirus has been a blessing to them.
Yeah.
And one thing also, if you take with the what are they called? The desert people. If you take Azurai, yep. If you take that as your starting, you're supposed to get, was it 30% or 15% discount on starting caravans? Caravans are still 15,000. They don't decrease.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Isn't it workshops that they decrease though?
No, it's supposed to be caravans.
That's someone else who gets a workshop bonus. Is that the Imperials?
Possibly.
No, they get a siege bonus, I think.
Somebody gets a workshop
building bonus in their cities.
Yeah, someone gets a workshop bonus.
Spiffing Brit had one as Azurai, and he did workshops. I'm fairly sure it's them.
I'm sure it says caravans on the description. Maybe it works on workshops, but maybe it says caravans.
Yeah, it could be that way.
By the way, I still think it's kind of weird every time I read that basically the Arab faction in Bannerlord sounds almost exactly like the Wood Elves in Warhammer. Azurai and the Azrai. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You have to go around
for the Azurian.
I'm just expecting them to like summon giant tree men out of the woods and
you know what? There will be a Warhammer mod, and I will play the shit out of it.
Yeah, same.
And Kazi is confirming in chat. It does say caravans.
Okay.
So because I just started a new run yesterday, I think. So it wasn't on the
I feel
beta
like
branch.
I'm at the point because the file I started right now, I started in like 1.0, and I feel like enough has changed that I kind of feel like I want to start over right now.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
Let's play, and I'm like, oh.
But then I'm worried that if I do that, it's going to be like patch 1.27 in like 2 weeks, and then I'm going to I'm going to want to restart again. So I'm wondering if I should wait a little bit.
Well, some of the things patch over, but other things don't.
Yeah.
Like the one about companions, adding new companions in, that didn't patch over to my old one, which I started on Tuesday, and like the day after it came out.
If you already had a faction that got stupidly overpowered because of the workshop, like, weirdness in the early patches, you know, they already control half the map, you know, the people who they took land from aren't going to get their land back, so it's going to remain unbalanced. So, yeah.
I haven't been playing it that much because my computer doesn't run it very well. But buying a new laptop now, like, I'm telling myself that, I'm doing it for work, so I can buy a laptop and work anywhere. 99% Bannerlords, to be honest. Like,
yeah.
It's for mental health during this quarantine time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, look, whatever way is it, it's going to be a business expense, whatever it's going to be, basically.
One thing they need to add is the ability to behead people. I want to see some more blood and gore, honestly. I want to see that when I swing this big, chunky glaive and it hits someone in the neck, I want to see that head go flying.
See,
that's going to be satisfying, and that's going to be very nice.
I want to be able to
I personally am glad they fade to black, just because the rest of the game, while you do see like blood spatters and stuff, it's not overly gory, and so showing that, I feel, would not be with the rest of the game.
I'm pretty sure I've seen a mod.
Be right back. I'm going to go and find it.
Speaking of mods too, the modding scene has been fantastic so far.
Yes.
Remember, like last week, I was complaining about the companions, not being able to edit, and you basically called, Jimmy the Turnip or whatever, and he was rubbish. And but now there's a one where you can like change the name and you can change your character appearances and all sorts. So nice. My main gripe with the companion system is gone.
Well, Warband had an amazing modding community, and they've been knowing that Bannerlord's coming for so long that they've been like, they've got ideas, they've got their notepads, and now they're like, oh, they've got it, let's make it now.
Yeah.
The hype for this game has been unreal, and I doubt that's been any different for modders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it really shows.
Yeah, I would, Lambert, I would take your idea a little bit further. I want to be able to actually carry Roggenwald's head around with me because screw that guy so hard. Like,
make it like a cloak accessory
from somebody's skull if you cannot remove the skull from the body.
Tried. I did everything I could to save the kingdom of Sturgia, and he just continued to fuck it up. Well, there was nothing I could have done.
The popularity, there's 106,320 people playing the game right now.
Yeah.
It's the most popular community and official content for the past week on Steam.
Oh, yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's a great game.
Very well deserved.
Yeah. And official content just shows so much. Like, where were you the past 8 years, for God's sake?
I mean, and it's been very positive with 71,689 reviews.
I really need to write my review. I haven't done it yet.
Neither.
I finally did because I had editors asking me where it was. So yeah,
I love it. I think it's just I'm a little bit bored. I'm a little bit down about the situation of the world. Lets me just go hack some people apart. Like, it's great.
Yeah,
yes.
Look at that guy. He just got murdered. Oh, love it.
I'm having trouble sitting in a computer chair for so long because I'm 38 weeks pregnant today. But this game kind of makes me forget until suddenly I'm like, oh, I need to try and stand up. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, I've got no blood in my legs anymore.
Is your child destined to be a great warrior? Like they say you should play Mozart for your kids. If you're playing Bannerlord while you're pregnant, does that just mean that they're going
to
Well, I wear headphones, so baby's not hearing any of it.
Oh, okay.
38 weeks. That's almost harvesting season, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm technically full term today. So
wow,
sorry, that was terrible.
Which means when that happens, folks, you won't hear my voice on here for a couple weeks.
Yeah. Very understandably so, but
Lambert
we'll probably get
TJ will
some
have to
guests
host the Twitch side.
I'll have to remember how to use voice meter.
Well, I think I go for literally everyone in the audience and wishing you the best of luck with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Any other Bannerlord thoughts before we wrap it up?
It's amazing. It needs work, but it's addictive.
Yeah. What was that, Loris?
So, what we've all been getting up to, I've made a Bannerlord's comic, which is coming out on Monday.
Nice.
So, I'm getting back to public ones. Finally finished big commissions.
Excellent.
So, back on public comics. So.
Where will people be able to find that comic when it goes up?
Chapel Comic. I'll probably post it on the Bannerlord Mountain Blade subreddit too. Twitter's a good place.
Oh yeah, I've been on the Mountain Blade subreddit a lot as well, so you'll probably see me hanging around on there.
And if you tweet about it, we'll be sure to retweet it with our NoCB cast.
Sweet, cool.
Yeah. Rose, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
Here on Twitch. I've been doing some multiplayer stuff on the weekends, which was Jackbox. which is a lot of fun. Come join. All you need is a browser to play Jackbox with us.
I've heard good things about it. Yeah,
and then Bannerlord during the weekdays.
Nice.
That alien one and the new one. Have you played that one?
God, that alien one. Yes.
So much fun. So much fun.
We've got one friend that we that does Jackbox. And he's like, oh, there's a new thing in one of the new Jackbox, so I just threw him some money. I was like, here, buy the new Jackbox. We want to play this one now.
Nice. Lambert, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
Imperatus, Stellaris, going over Dev Diaries, all that on Lord Lambert on YouTube. And it's same old. Things are going well. Bannerlord there as well. It's been fun. You should come check it out.
Excellent.
Good stuff. And yourself, TJ?
So I'm AsaTJ on Twitter. That's ASATJ. That's the best place to find all of my stuff across the internet, including all of my shit posting. So I should probably set up a profile or something for people who want to see the work, but not the shit posting. That's an understandable taste to have. My early access review of Bannerlord, the final version, not the review in progress, is up on IGN. I also just posted a preview there of Old World, which is the new, it's kind of like Civ, but only the ancient era, created by Soren Johnson, who's the lead designer of Civilization 4, which I know a lot of people feel is the last good Civilization game, so you might want to check that one out if you're in that camp. I've got some other stuff on the horizon I can't talk about yet because it's under embargo, but it's always a fair guess that it's going to be of interest to strategy people, because if they call me out specifically to write about something that's not out yet, it's usually a strategy game.
Sweet, the new Cooking Mama game. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's Cooking Mama Tactics. So
Take over the world with your cuisine.
Oh, man. Yeah, now Nintendo's going to come arrest me for breaking.
Are we even allowed to talk about Nintendo on this podcast? Just copyright strike
they made Mario vs. Rabbids, which was actually a pretty good strategy game, believe it or not. So,
I was hoping I could chew in Animal Crossing because I've been playing that far too much.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I guess you could think of Animal Crossing as a resource management game.
There's something about turnips. And the cost of them.
Yeah, that's the only other game where you can find Jimmy the Turnip.
There you go.
That's it,
so check us out.
Game.
Check us out, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher. We're on Twitter. We're on all sorts of stuff. NoCB cast. Subscribe, leave us some reviews, leave us some stars if you feel like it.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel like.
Go out, find your friends' war parties in the world, defeat them, put them in your prison at your estate, and force them to listen to all the episodes.
But make sure you maintain 2 meters distance of the rest of your war parties.
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's quite
important. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Ta-ra.